Of what nation are you a citizen?
Singapore.
Are you a citizen of any other nation?
No, Senator.
Have you ever applied for Chinese citizenship?
Senator, I served my nation in Singapore. No, I did not.
Do you have a Singaporean passport?
Yes, and I served my military for two and a half years in Singapore.
That was Republican Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas grilling TikTok's CEO about his nationality during a congressional hearing earlier this year. And for some Americans, interactions like this one are reason to believe government action on TikTok is less about national security and more about stoking xenophobic fears in an election year. Now, content creators in favor of keeping TikTok around, like our previous guest, also argue they haven't seen substantial evidence of TikTok being a national security threat. To date, the U.S. government hasn't provided public evidence of these claims. It is worth noting, though, TikTok, of course, owned by a Chinese company. All other major apps, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, are American-owned businesses. So, should we or should we not be concerned? Our next guest is a data privacy advisor and the best-selling author of Data Reimagined, Building Trust One Bite at a Time. Justin Daniels joins us now in studio to break this down one bite at a time. I had to include that, so thank you for carving out some time to talk about this. The first and foremost question that I think most people have is, what evidence is there that China is using TikTok to gather this intel on Americans?
So I think in order to answer your question, we kind of have to set the stage. And we're sitting at the intersection of social media, national security, and AI is hovering over all of this. And so what I want to do is kind of get in our time machine and go back to the future, which was the 2016 election, and how a U.S. company, Facebook, outside foreign actors were able to use that platform to weaponize it. Right. To sway public opinion, to apply to people's emotions, to really...
disinformation.
Correct.
Yep.
So now we're going to go forward now to the 2024. We obviously are in an election year.
Right.
And now we have AI. So now I want to give you a scenario. We have a deep fake, which people can't tell the difference of. It might be a presidential candidate or something that people have a very emotional reaction to. And they're young people. And you can't have a political campaign now without having a social media strategy because it's become so enmeshed in our daily lives.
Yeah. Well, what would you say to the person that hears that and goes, okay, I hear that, but it sounds theoretical?
So my response to that would be, let's talk a little bit about what they collect. They collect all of your account information. They collect what content you look at, for how long you're scrolling, your IP address. They can develop a very precise picture of people, and you aggregate that data so then they know exactly what ad they can tailor to feed you. But let's say instead there's some kind of conflict going on with Taiwan, for example, and the Chinese government wants to sway public opinion. Well, here's a great platform that's already there that they can then, by law, get access to, because under Chinese law, the MSS or Chinese government can get access to that data that's being collected.
Okay, hold on. Even if, as the CEO of TikTok, who testified in front of Congress saying, we moved all of Americans' data over to and offloaded that to Oracle, an American-based company, it's in the U.S., legally, they would still have access to that?
I think with the way the Ministry of State Security is, they could get access to that data, because the other thing is there may be a place where they're backing up that data that we're not even aware of.
How easy is it to acquire that data, if you will, even with it being here in the States?
How easy is it to acquire that data? It's as easy as it is backing it up, having a backdoor into software. Many Europeans think the NSA has a backdoor into software and apps and data. Same thing goes for the other nation-state actors that are out there.
What would you say to folks who are like, I'm not on TikTok, I don't use TikTok, I see all this, commotion about it, why should I care?
I think the reason why we all have to care now is in the last 40 years, technology has really come to rule our lives. There's no place, like even driving your car, it's collecting data about you. So whether you want to not be on social media or not, technology, you are interacting with it every minute of every day in some aspect. Data is being collected. Data is being analyzed. It's either to serve you ads, potentially to change your insurance rates. And I think a lot of people are just not fully aware of how embedded all this data collection, sharing, and use really is in our daily life.
Well, you mentioned Facebook as an example of what we saw play out in the 2016 election, disinformation coming from Russia. If this leads to a sale with an American company or entity buying TikTok, how exactly would that prevent the issues of disinformation, the issues of misinformation, and the issues of data collection that have plagued already, as we've seen, all the other social platforms as well?
Do I think it solves that problem? Absolutely not, because the thing that you and I were talking about is we've transformed into this digital economy, and the Congress, the U.S. government, kind of took the position of, hey, we're hands off, we're going to let the innovators innovate. And we've seen the consequences of what's going on with social media. And you and I haven't even broached a conversation with AI that's coming, which weaponizes all of the worst impulses of social media.
So, let's dig into it then. I think we've got a little bit of time left here because you're saying it's hovering over this whole conversation. How do you think the federal government and even state governments, depending on where you're looking at, are handling this issue, not just with TikTok, but also with AI hovering over it?
I think they are struggling because AI is just the latest innovation that is far outpacing our democratic government coming up with regulations to deal with it because it happens so fast, it evolves so quickly.
What do they need to do?
What would I like to see happen?
Yeah.
We really need to start looking about data at a federal level. We need a national data privacy law because otherwise we're just going to have more state laws that are proliferating. The same thing for AI. The European Union passed an AI Act. So the United States needs to really think about what we are going to do to regulate AI because, again, pretty soon you're not going to be able to tell, is that real or is that a deep fake? And now you're going to put that on these social media platforms that go viral like wildfire, and it's complete misinformation.
What do you make of the Biden administration's recently, put out plan around AI? Is that structure enough? And I've got 30 seconds left here.
I think it's a good first step.
Okay.
The more that we can do things to keep this in the consciousness and the more that we can learn about it, we really need to have a public debate about what data means, what artificial intelligence means, because quickly it's going to overwhelm us and we're going to have some type of black swan, really bad event. And do we really want to learn that way as we have in the past with other events?
I know, I was going to say, we've already seen, unfortunately, scores of that. And we got our disinformation desk working on it as well to make sure that all that gets cleared up because of the technology. Well, Justin Daniels, thank you so much for joining us in studio, giving us insight on what exactly TikTok is gaining from our information, how it's happening, and what it means for the future. Appreciate your time. And folks, we'll be right back.